Welcome everyone to our introduction to Kabbalah. Now, let me just give you a bit of reference of who I am. My name is Rabbi Yosef Chaim Imran, and I've been zochet to learn under a lot of great Kabbalistic rabbis in both Yerushalayim and also Bnei Brak. I'm sure the names of Rav Yaakov Hillel would mean something. I have the Haskama of Rav Yaakov Hillel and also of Rav Mordechai Tia. These are great Kabbalists in Yerushalayim. Haskama of also of Yitzchak Morgenstern and other great Kabbalists. I've written Svarim on Kabbalah, Otzos Chaim. This was the first version with a lot of diagrams and pictures about the system of Kabbalah according to the Arizal. Also on Otzos Chaim, this is the second version. Now we have a third version with 2 chalakim coming out. And also I've written books also in English if anybody wants to, on Amazon. It's called The Ultimate Connection with God. Also a little good introduction of what Kabbalah, the tradition of Kabbalah that we have. That's very important. So let me just give you an introduction of what we're speaking about over here, because when we speak about Kabbalah, we get a lot of ideas coming into it. What is Kabbalah? So we have to understand that there are many Kabbalah, the many versions of Kabbalah. For example, we have the system of Kabbalah coming from Sefer Yetzirah. In Sefer Yetzirah, you have it's very complicated. There is an English translation of it from Ari Kaplan. Ari Kaplan wrote a nice translation of Sefer Yetzirah, but that's one Kabbalah. Another Kabbalah, which is Sefer Bahir, Rav Hanania ben Akana. Another Sefer, which is Behachalot. And then we have the Zohar. So there are different traditions of Kabbalah, all speaking about the same thing, but in different ways. We follow the version of Kabbalah which has come from the Zohar. There were many great Kabbalists that came to explain the Zohar because the Zohar is very complicated, it's very cryptic. We have the Ramak of Moshe Cordovero. He wrote a lot of pirushim on the Zohar, and Pardes Rimonim explains all the Shalshelet, all the tradition of the Kabbalah from the Zohar. But even with Rav Moshe Cordovero, it wasn't enough to explain to us the Kabbalah according to this line of thinking, according to the Zohar, which is attributed to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, until the Arizal came. The Arizal came and really opened up the Zohar for us. And the way that all of the Talmid Chachamim in that generation could understand it. Now, in our generation, it's still very difficult for us to understand the Arizal. And then we have further another split in Kabbalah, how to understand the Arizal. There's 4 different versions, basic versions, how to understand the Arizal, the way he explained the Zohar. Again, all very cryptic. So we have a system which is called Pardes. Pshat, it's a remez for Pshat, Remez, Dush, and Sod. It's an acronym. So Pshat, to explain the Arizal, the basic understanding of the Arizal is according to the Rashash. Sholem Sharabi, a great rabbi that lived around 350 years ago, the Arizal 500 years ago, the Zohar a few thousand years ago, just to give you a frame of reference. So the Rashash of Sholem Sharabi was, like I said, a Rosh Hashiva in Beit El in Ir Atika. There's 2 Bet El. One's in Rochov Rashi in Yerushalayim, and one in the original was in Yerushalayim, in Ir Atika, and he was a Rosh Hashiva. He actually came to the whole story. He came as a Shamash, and I'm not going to go into the whole story there. So his way of understanding the Arizal is what we call the Pshat. And then you have the Remez and the Drush, which is according to the Ramchal. And then you have the Gaon Mivilna, the way he understands the Arizal. And then you have the Sod, which is, they say, the Sod, which is according to the Baal Shem Tov. So according to those 4 Gedolim, you have the Rashash, the Ramchal, the Gaon Vilna, and the Baal Shem Tov is 4 different ways how we can understand the writings of the Arizal, which is coming to explain the Zohar. Because again, just to learn the Zohar by itself, you could read it, but it doesn't really make any sense. You need the Arizal. And the Arizal is quite complicated. There's a lot of contradictions also in the Arizal's writings. He's written a lot, actually, to be more precise, he's written nothing. His Talmud, Muvagav Chaim Vital, wrote everything for him. And a lot of contradictions in the Shah Kavanas, Shah Akdamas, Shah Gilgulim. There are a lot of contradictions over there. And so what we needed is somebody else to come along to make everything cohesive in order for us to understand what more harmonious, in order for us to harmoniously to understand exactly what he's talking about. So what we're going to be teaching over here in these classes is according to the Rashash, which is the basic understanding. Not to negate, not to say that you shouldn't learn the Ramchal or the Gaon Vilna, the way he explains, or the Baal Shem Tov, the way he approaches the Arizal, everybody in their beautiful and unique way. It's good to learn all of them. But it's good to start in a way that we can climb the ladder slowly but surely. Okay, so the basic sefer to start learning the system of Kabbalah according to the Arizal, which is uniquely focused towards the Zohar, is through a sefer called Otzot Chaim. Otzot Chaim is where I've written my Pirush, which is the basic introduction to the system of the Arizal. There's other Sfarim that Chaim Vital wrote on behalf of the Arizal, which is Etz Chaim, which is a compendium of a lot of different books together. Medura Kama, Basra, Tinyana, a lot of different editions went through there. Then you have the Shah Kavanas, which is like the Shulchan Aruch, which explains practically how to go take the theory that you learn from Etz Chaim into the practical. And then you have the Shah Gilgul, explains reincarnation. Shah Yehudim explains how to apply various shiluvim of the Havayas, and so on and so forth. That's more complicated, more technical, more advanced. We'll get to that in the later classes. But for right now, we want a global understanding. That's what we're aiming for, a global, simplified understanding of the system, because it is a system. And once you understand the system of the Arizal, you can then apply it towards tefillah. You can apply it towards your learning. You can apply it towards doing mitzvot, tzedakah, whatever mitzvah you're doing, you can apply it, because the system is applicable to all different sectors of the Torah. And it's there to enhance your understanding, to deepen your understanding in what you're doing, instead of just praying 3 times a day without understanding what you're doing. Pirush Milim is nice to understand the translation, but you want to graduate after a while to understand a little bit deeper of what you're doing, and the ramifications of every single word that you pronounce, what it does in the spiritual world. That's so critical. It's interesting how we graduate from kindergarten and then elementary school, and we graduate in our educational levels of Chol. And even in learning, we start with Mikra, Mishnah, Gemara. But when it comes to to understand the mitzvahs that we're doing are on the same level that we did when we were small. We have no understanding what we're doing. Shloch HaKan, or shaking a lulav. You ask a 2-year-old, and you ask a big rabbi, been doing it for 40 years, or whoever, he'll give you the exact same explanation of why he's doing it. That's pretty sad. You want to graduate in your understanding and grow in it, and associate yourself with the mitzvah to the point where you are feeling the mitzvah that you're doing, not only just intellectually and just doing puppet fashion, moving the lulav or giving tzedakah or eating the matzah, without understanding deeper spiritual ramifications of what you're doing. And that's the whole goal over here. The goal is to broaden our knowledge in a way that you haven't seen before, and that will get your Yiddishkeit, as we say, your Yadut, on the next level. That's the goal over here. So we want to focus on the introduction, which is again a sefer which was written by Chaim Vital, which was the principal Talmud of the Arizal. Arizal barely wrote anything. We have maybe 2 letters of his. That's it. He was on such a high level that Arizal was on the level of a prophecy, and he wasn't able to articulate himself in a way to write things down that was too restrictive for him. He was not able to do that. So Chaim Vital, which was obviously on a lower level, was able to restrict himself and write things in a manner which was plausible and understandable to us. And that the introduction is Otzot Chaim, and we're going to be learning, before we get to the Otzot Chaim, I thought it'd be better to give an overview of the system through a sefer called Daat Elokim. So if you want to go and buy that, we're going to go through page through the Daat Elokim. And once we finish Daat Elokim, then we can go into the Otzot Chaim itself, and then venture more into the Sha'at Kavanos, which is like the Shulchan Aruch, which is the more practical way of how to using all that theory that we've learned and applying it to every mitzvah that we're doing. Okay, so that's the introduction I wanted to leave you with, and I'll see you in the next class how we start the Daat Elokim.